Hello and welcome to my channel, where I will be discussing all things related to the drug and alcohol testing field, whether it's Department of Transportation, and I may throw in some health and human services guidelines if you guys really want me to answer some of those questions. But as a former FAA Drug and Alcohol Compliance Enforcement Inspector, a Department of Interior Drug Program Specialist, and a Department of Defense Military Unit Prevention Leader, I have well over 15 plus years of drug and alcohol industry experience. Now, does that make me an expert? Some will say it does, but I don't just rely on my industry experience. I rely heavily on the governing regulations and policies, as I highly recommend that you do as well. I have a saying that goes, it's not Greg's way, it's the regs way. Now, if you visit my website at www.federaldrugtestingservices.com, you can check out my new course, Managing an FAA Drug and Alcohol Program. Now, you can also see my training dates and locations to see if I'm going to be coming to a city near you. Yeah, like right there, that's New York City. Okay, so if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them down in the section below. And if you're a subscriber, hold on, let me stop right there. Make sure you like and you hit that subscribe so that way you can get that ding in the bell so you'll know that I have a upcoming question of the day for being answered for you. All right, so without further ado, let me go ahead and get into the question of the day, and I'm getting ready to land, and I'll see you soon. All right.
It is now time for the big question of the day. So, the big question of the day is going to be I am having trouble with the drug and alcohol records check on a potential employee. What should I do? Hmm. Well, the first thing we need to do is go to 49 CFR Part 40 and let's see what 40.25A has to say on the matter. And then we would take it from there. Okay, so let's look at 4025A. Must an employer check on the drug and alcohol testing record of employees it is intending to use to perform safety sensitive duties? And that's a question. So what do you say? Yes, no, maybe? Hmm. Well, I don't say anything, but the regulation says yes. So let's actually see what that yes is. Yes, as an employer, you must, after obtaining an employee's written consent, request the information about the employee listed in paragraph B of this section. This requirement applies only to employees seeking to begin performing safety sensitive duties for you for the first time, i.e., a new hire, an employee transfers to a safety sensitive position. If the employee refuses to provide this written consent, you must not permit the employee to perform safety sensitive functions. Now, earlier that paragraph, it says something about paragraph B. So whenever you're reading the regulation and they have these things within those paragraphs like B, C, H, or whatever, make sure that you go to those correlating um, sections because there's more information that is required for that answer that you may be looking for. So let's go ahead and read B. B says you must request the information listed in this paragraph from DOT regulated employers who have employed the employee during any period during the 2 years before the date of the employee's application or transfer. All right. So now that is the specific language out of 49 CFR Part 40, Section 4025A and B. Okay, so that brings us right back to the same question at hand. I am having trouble with the drug and alcohol records check on a potential employee. What should I do? All right, so the first thing you have to do is that you need to establish whether the employee is indeed going to perform safety sensitive duties. If you're not certain on whether that employee is or is not, reach out to your local FAA office and inquire with them. All right, so along with that section, there's actually a frequently asked question response that actually came from Drug Abatement, which was dated 11/3 2015. And in that statement, it says, according to the Department of Transportation Procedural Regulation 49 CFR 40.25H, the employer from whom information is requested must transmit the information immediately. If you have attempted to obtain the drug and alcohol records for an individual you intend to perform safety sensitive duties, but the former employer is not responsive to your request for records, you are required to show that you have made da, 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 a good faith effort to obtain those records. We recommend that you document your attempts to obtain the information, and you need to maintain those documents with the written request for 3 years from the date the employee first performed safety sensitive duties for you. All right, now, in some instances, the company may not be a DOT regulated employer or contractor, like I mentioned in the previous um, slide, as defined in the FAA's Drug and Alcohol Testing Regulation 14 CFR 120.7, which is definitions. Therefore, they are not required to respond to your request. If you are having trouble finding the current contact information from a previous employer or contractor, they encourage you to search the internet to learn more about their business and to find a contact. Now, you may also need to consult with the employee or the applicant to learn more about his or her former employer. After you've exhausted your search and you still cannot find a company or your need to report a previous employer or contractor that failed to respond to your request, please provide a copy of your written request and any documentation to support your efforts to obtain the information. You may submit that documentation by email to FAA's Drug Abatement Division, and at the end of the video, I will provide those information for you, the email as well as the fax. All right, so let's do a recap here. All right, the first thing we want to do is you want to do a good faith attempt, right? Now, even though the regulation just states a good faith effort, it doesn't state how many efforts you need to do. But to be on the safe side, we just recommend that you at least do two, 3, because you do want to give yourself a great effort that you're trying to make sure that the individual is, clear and good to go. You don't want anything to come up and bite you, especially after they start performing safety sensitive functions. So even though, again, it only states a good faith effort, the FAA really wants to hammer to you to actually do at least a couple, 2 or 3, just to make sure, again, that you put forth that effort. Then, once you've done that, if you're still not getting a response back, just make sure that you're documenting your attempts. Write down on your documentation, whatever form you're using to track those requests, those consent requests. Just annotate on there that you've made the attempt on this day to this person, to this company, and you didn't get any response. Now, you want to maintain these documents with the written request for 3 years from the date the employee first performed safety sensitive duties. All right. Now, that's important because, again, you want to make sure that you're tracking your documentation and your proof. And that way, whenever you do have an audit, you can show your efforts and your proof, and they'll already be there. Now, if you're continuing to not get a response from the company, don't just give up. Submit those documents to DACE for assistance in contacting that employer. And they're there to help you. Again, the email and the fax number will be following this part of the video. All right, so here are the information that I was talking about earlier, the regulation that we use to go over this frequently asked question, and the email and the fax number for drug abatement. All right, so this concludes the video on I am having trouble with a drug and alcohol records check on a potential employee. What should I do? Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions that you would like answered, go ahead and put it in the comment section below, and I will definitely make sure that I tackle that for you. And then visit my website, www.federaldrugtestingservices.com, for my course dates and information and pre-inspection consultation services. And again, remember, I am not a third-party consortium. I am a training and consultant service. Until the next video, take care, and remember, it's not Greg's way, it's the regs way.